Cecil?
2 events in a row.
No headsets.
No. You can leave them off as long as you can hear yourself.
Yeah.
I can hear myself.
Yeah, and you talk loud, so I think
I don't have a problem. As long as I'm good. I don't want to mess up my.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't
cloth,
know.
man.
Listen, I was looking in class yesterday, and it looks like it's getting thinner, Cecil. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, well, I'm going to look like that any day. I'm just telling you. When I've only got like 3 hairs left right here, it's all coming off. It's going to be gone.
My dad had a friend who had literally just a couple hairs left, and he ended up making this swirl all the way around the wraparound. And then the wind would blow, and it would blow off, and it'd be this long ponytail of hair.
I can't. What was it? What was the movie with Woody Harrelson where he was bowling?
That Kingpin
bowling movie with
Kingpin.
The other guy with the hair. That was so good.
Very much like that.
It was one of my very first jobs working in a grocery store, and this guy, it was one of the managers. That's how he used to come in. He had it like really long just on top, and he would flop it over, and then he would just spray a whole bunch of hairspray and get it super crusty.
And the wind would blow, and it would stand
that wind, it would take a lot of wind to get that hair to move. But I mean, you could tell. It's like, dude, just let it go.
Just be happy with who you are.
Yes,
that's
or
the key to
apparently now you can go to Turkey and it's $6,000, and they will do the plugs, but they've gotten so good that it looks legit now. Like legit.
You gonna do that?
No.
I just don't know where they would get the hair because,
Yeah.
They do it from the back of your head.
They could take it out of my nose, but
Plenty there.
got a lot of that going on. Old age stuff
they take
going
it
on.
back, but it creates a really natural hairline where, back in the day, the hair plugs were like, they looked like like doll hair.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Now it looks legit.
Right.
It doesn't look like you've got, a ton of hair, but if you've got the lines and you see it, it's just
if I
like
just bring my hairline, back.
That's what it does, and then it fills it out just so
Yeah.
you've got an actual hairline as opposed to just.
Have you been researching this?
No. So I watch a lot of like bodybuilder stuff, and that they all do it because when you're injecting yourself with 18,000 compounds, one of the side effects is a hair loss. Because it increases your.
You don't have anything to worry about.
I don't have anything.
Listen, as long as this doesn't come off, we're in good shape. This starts
so
falling out.
That's
we're
the
gonna
thing.
be
Is like the DHT in your system spikes, and it hits the hair follicles on the top of your hair, on the top of your head, and you lose the hair. But it actually makes the rest of this grow out. So, yeah,
DHT's actually it's a pretty good chemical for you. Frankly,
Really?
it's one of the things that as you get older goes away, and it creates some nerve damage and some other stuff. So,
in young boys, some boys, if they've got a lot of DHT, those are the boys that are like big, like strong, masculine boys. The boys that are a little softer, got little pudgy boobs and stuff like that. They don't aromatize. Their testosterone doesn't aromatize the DHT. It turns into estrogen in their systems, and so they have higher levels of estrogen rather than higher DHT. Also, it dictates the size of your pecker. I thought I'd point that out.
Whether you have it or don't.
Whether you have it or don't.
Well, I don't want to talk about it. Just I don't want to talk about it.
So as a kid, if your son looks a little soft, little man boobs and stuff,
start injecting him with this.
No. You tell your kid, you're like, hey, I'm just telling you, Dad's got a lot of experience with this. It's not going to end well. Just tell you're growing out a shower.
There you go.
Well, we just
Nothing
got
wrong with
canceled.
that.
We just got canceled. That's what just happened.
Well, we don't have to publish that part.
It all gets published. We were talking about PDE5 inhibitors, and because you're taking that oregano oil.
Oh, I know.
And at the very beginning, and we were talking about
that was terrible. That was really terrible.
Boner medicine at the very beginning of a podcast that we were supposed to be doing for Shop-Ware, and it was like we sent it to Shop-Ware as like, hey, when we're done with this, we want a copy of it because we want to clip it up and use it in our market. And it was like, sure, no problem.
Yeah,
it was the whole like for 7 minutes we're talking about like the most ridiculous things, and we're just all laughing. and I didn't clip it. I just sent it to Monique, and I'm
Sent
like,
the whole thing.
Yeah,
They loved it. They thought it was great.
They laughed. I'm like, hey, so the first 7 minutes a little rough, but after that, we totally get into
start
business.
talking shop.
Yeah, we're like get into the whole Shop-Ware thing, and she's like, oh, it's good.
I will say that the oregano oil, like I'm sure it's a great thing, but if you take too much of it, it is a very uncomfortable process.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was not fun.
My grandmother on my dad's side from Oklahoma, used to have castor bean oil. So if you were ever sick, any sick at all, she'd be shoving that stuff down your throat. And I'm telling you right now, that'll clean you out.
Yes, sir.
Quick.
That's it. There's not going to be
And it
anything
don't
left.
take a lot either.
Yeah.
So if you need rapid weight loss,
right?
castor bean oil, it's
Castor
the ticket.
bean oil.
Paregoric. Remember that? You remember that?
Yeah,
name?
yeah. Oh yeah.
That was
That'll
a
make
big
you puke though, right?
No, if you take a bunch of it, but they have like different types my grandmother used to give it to me. I can't remember what the deal was with that, but like it was a big home remedy back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My grandma was like, "Oh, you need the castor bean. Here you go. Swallow this."
Says
Be running away from that old lady.
should have told me what it was going to do. That's rough.
Anyway, yeah.
Tell him your idea.
So this is how we're going to save the industry.
Okay.
All right. So we had this whole conversation with Cody, like I was telling you. Mm-hmm. And Lucas brings up that we don't incentivize diagnostic time, or we don't incentivize technicians to prioritize diagnostic time or diagnostic skills because we just don't pay for it. And so it's a skill that then gets undermined within the shop. And the shops that do need it then end up hiring a mobile guy like Cody or whatever, right? And so there's never here's a ticket with 4 to 6 hours of diag on it. And that's what you do for the day, right? You're going to bang out 3/4 of your day is going to be diag, just testing, right? Maybe 2 cars, maybe just 1 car, whatever, right? You got a whole bunch of testing on this vehicle. Nobody sells it that way. We do at our shop. We try to break down the different systems or core problems. We scan the car. We don't charge to scan the car. But once we have an assessment, like we're going to need to run these 4 tests, 150 for this test, 188 for this test, $100 for this test, 79 for this test, and we line it all up. And I'm not going to say we rarely get pushback from the customer. Now, they don't always buy all the tests, and they do call and they'll say, "Hey, do I need all of them at the same time? Like, what's the most important thing?" It's like, well, if you're going to just do 2 tests, it's like these 2 are the most important because they keep the car from running or whatever, right? But we have that conversation with the customer. So the plan is, what we're asking coaches to do, like the Institute, right, is start setting a specific metric for how much of your labor dollars, of your total labor dollars, are diagnostic time only.
So, I'm going to tell you that I've been teaching this forever, okay, already. What happens in a typical shop is car comes in, customer calls, "Hey, my car's not running right. I got a check engine light on," or whatever, right? And we instantly go, "Oh, that's an hour," right? Yeah. In our head, it's, "Oh, that's an hour." And so we write down, an hour for Bob. That's my diag guy, right? And we put it in the calendar, and that's what it's going to be. And then the customer shows up, and you don't know anything at this point. You don't even know that the car that they told you that they have is really the car they have. Yeah. But I've had customers come in and say, "Hey, I got a Toyota Corolla," and they show up, and it's a Honda Accord. It's not even, they don't even have an idea of what they're driving, right? And what happens in our industry is we think that because we opened our mouth and we said something, that's it, right? Yeah. Like there's no change. Yeah. And so then the car shows up, and a good service advisor is going to be talking to the client and, "Hey, I know you're here for this. It's what we talked about, blah, blah, blah. Is there anything else that's going on with your vehicle?" "Oh yeah, man, I got this really bad rattle in the back, when we go over a bump, blah, blah, blah. Can you check that out? And hey, my my right rear window doesn't roll up and down, right? So now what happens is the service advisor writes 3 different diags or 3 different tests, right? Depending on how you want to talk about it. And, but they don't change the amount at the bottom. It's still the original 125 or whatever, right? And that gets handed to a technician. So not only are we not incentivizing the guys, we're actually decentivizing, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
we're pretty much ripping them off.
20, 30, 40 years of that.
And then we're trying to hold the guy accountable for time, which, one of the biggest problems we have in shops is it's probably not even, quote unquote, what our labor rate is or whatever. It's productivity, which it kills, labor margin, et cetera. It is epidemic, right? 72% productivity, but it begins at the point of how you do things. So my youngest daughter had UTIs. For whatever reason, 2-3 times a year she'd get a UTI, and urinary tract infection. Okay, for those people that only know automotive acronyms and
right,
don't know.
Let's throw this in there.
So just to be clear, right? And what would almost always invariably happen is she'd start getting sick on Thursday or Friday. Well, Saturday or Sunday she was, I can't, I'm miserable, whatever. And so off to the clinic, right? And my wife and her would go off to the clinic, and the clinic would charge for the visit. They would run urine tests, blood tests, whatever tests they needed. They would charge that. And then they would say, here's the medication, right? So then you'd go to the pharmacy and get your prescription, right? So now I'm buying medication. And she would take that medication for, 4 or 5 days, and she wouldn't get any better. She, in fact, so next Wednesday, she's worse off than she was on Saturday when she went to the clinic.
Right.
So now you're like, okay, got to go back to the doctor, the clinic, whatever, and you go back in. Well, do they go, oh, you were just here?
Yeah, this is a comeback. Let me prioritize you.
The prescription that we gave you obviously didn't do anything, right? Yeah. In other words, the parts I put on your car didn't fix your problem, blah, blah, blah. So this one's free, right?
Yeah.
No, they don't, man. They're like, okay, well, since that didn't work, oh, by the way, let me charge you for showing up, right? For being here. And I'm not saying necessarily that's what we should do. Like, that's legit. I kind of think our medical system's kind of screwy too. But but then they're like, oh, we need to run different blood tests. So we're going to run different tests or more tests or whatever. And now it's twice as expensive, right? And then they're like, oh, that wasn't the prescription. Here's a new medication. Stop taking that. Take this. Yeah. And you go buy that. And then my daughter would be like on Sunday, out of her mind, miserable. I can't, Dad, I'm going to die, right? And my wife would take her to the emergency room, and they'd admit her into the hospital, and, they'd give her intravenous whatever. And that's what cured the problem, right?
Right.
But we got charged for 3 visits.
Yeah.
3, maybe even 5 different sets of testing, all kinds of different things. We don't do that in our industry. By rule, it's like, well, I told them 125 on the phone for this. And what I've been teaching service advisors is like, okay, if you've got 3 problems, that's 3 different diags. You can't, you can't just say, okay, because they told me they had to check engine light on and the car runs rough when it's cold, that's 1 diag.
Yeah.
The other thing that I don't even know that technicians understand as a rule is that the computer is making adjustments. All right. So by the time that the customer actually feels a problem, there could be 3 or 4 problems. Because the computer is making adjustments. So I had brain surgery, right? And I go back to the doctor 2 months later, and I'm like, Doc, I'm still having a problem with this eye, and I still got blah, blah, blah. And he says, Cecil, your brain, you've had that tumor for a long time. Your brain has been making adjustments. Okay?
Right.
And all of a sudden, we remove the tumor. And now the brain is trying to figure out, how do I readjust
Right. How do I get back to the baseline?
your eyes and your hormones and blah blah blah, so that you feel normal, so that you're running smoothly.
Right.
The car is the same. It's making these adjustments. So when I was running shops, and it's been a while since I've run a shop, I think 17 years. When a customer came in and they said, "Oh yeah, I want you to check this and this," you're like, "Oh, okay, no problem. This will cost X, this will cost Y, and we already have the 125, right?" So, and some customers would go, "Oh yeah, great, no problem." And some customers would go, "Well, whoa, right? I only have so much money. So what's the most important thing? What would you test, right?" "Oh, well, we're going to test this," right? And by the way, the other part of this is it's easy to come back from hey, it's going to be
For sure.
half a day of testing and it's going to cost $600.
Yeah.
It's easy to go, look, we found it
100%.
quickly.
Yeah.
And so
this
it's only,
one thing was causing
only
these 3 issues.
200.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to go from 125 and the customer thinks it's going to be 125 when they leave your shop, and you call them later and you go, "Oh, by the way, it's $600 because we have to run 53 different tests," right?
Yeah.
But we have to figure out as an industry how to do this differently.
Yeah.
Because we're not motivating our technicians to, and I'll tell you right now, I think that not only are there shops right now that couldn't diagnose their way out of a paper bag.
I'm telling you, it's like 70% of shops could not diagnose their way out of a paper bag.
But
it's that bad.
But there are also shops and shop owners that are saying, "I don't even want to do diagnostic because it's not profitable." And it's not profitable, not because it can't be profitable, but because of the way that you're built. You're still trying to build like you're working on a 1975 Dodge or something.
Yeah.
And you're not. You're working on a 2000 whatever with, I don't know, 17 computer systems and all the different electronics.
So we have a car come in with a misfire or just runs rough, and then we scan the car. It's got a misfire code, or maybe 2 misfire codes, and then we see an evap code, which wouldn't cause a drivability issues.
No.
But that's 2 different problems. Guess what? It's 1.8 for the misfire code. It's 1.4 for the evap code.
Yeah.
There's 3.2 hours I've already added onto the ticket. That's what I'm selling. I'm selling the 3.2 hours.
You have to.
Now I'm incentivizing that technician to get really good at evap, because if we can find that evap problem in half an hour, which I'm telling you right now, my brain didn't get 100%. He hated evap work.
90% of the time he can get it figured out very quickly.
Yes, right? Half an hour or less. He's got it pinned down because he no interest in learning how to do evap.
Let me ask the question.
No interest.
Let me ask the question that they're going to want to know. So do you only charge the customer half an hour?
No, it's a 1.4. They're getting to a 1.4. It's not his. I'm not going to charge less because he got really good at it. And I'm telling you, he had no interest in learning evap systems. But we had so many cars coming in and we kept selling them. And he's like, "I'm going to get really good at evap." And he got really good at evap. So he just bangs them out left and right. No problem. But also 1.8 for the die. And he gets the lab scope out. He hooks it up 50 different things.
Well, imagine,
runs the car for 5 minutes. And he goes, "It's got a bad coil." Or whatever.
Yeah.
He's figured it out. 5 minutes. 3.2 hours. So what we want to do is change things by shaming everybody. And the way we're going to shame them is just like we rattled off a bunch of industry standard numbers. Your bottom line should be 20%. Your payroll should be 20%. Your parts GP should be X. Your total GP should be 60. Well, whatever, right? All these numbers that we keep pushing. And all of the discussions online all the time in our group is like, "Hey, what should my marketing percentage be on the P&L?" And then you get all these answers. Everybody's having all this discussion.
5 to 7%.
What should my rent factor be? What should be? Everybody wants to know these numbers. All we're saying is we need to come up with a industry standard diag dollars of total labor. Diag dollars. How much money are you generating just in diagnostic time as a percentage of your total labor dollars? How much money are you charging? Because if it's 5%, you are not charging for enough diagnostic time.
So off the top of my head, I would think today that somewhere between 30 and 40% of what we do is probably testing. Okay,
Should be
qualified, right? So if I'm doing $1 million in revenue, somewhere between 300,000, 400,000 of that revenue should come through testing. Now, right now, number one, in this industry, we should have, but we don't, any real hard data on this stuff. So, excuse me.
But see, that's where you come in. You've got access to the best of the best shops, the shops that are just killing it.
Yeah.
Putting 30% on the bottom line. They have retention. They're keeping their guys. They've got 2 or 3 great Diag guys on staff because maybe they own more than one shop, right? They've
Doesn't
got
that
a
make
bunch
you
of
think
Diag
of
guys.
Parker Branch?
Yeah.
They've got guys on staff that like, these guys are killing it. Okay, go into that shop, pull their numbers, categorize the labor, and go, this guy is hitting 30%.
And so I think we certainly have the capacity and the capability of doing that. Okay, and so we can dig that number up, but I'll guarantee it'll be somewhere between 30 and 40%.
And I agree with you. 100%
for a
agree
shop
with you.
that's running properly. Now here's the other issue. So I'm teaching a service advisor class, right? And I'm talking about average repair order, and I'm saying that if you're running a general repair shop today, depending on your labor rate, you probably should have somewhere around a $900 average repair order, right? If you're really doing a thorough inspection,
Showing all the work.
If 25% of your clients are new clients, you've seen them before, blah 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 blah, and yet in the room or in the industry, the average repair order is somewhere around 420, 430.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you're talking to people and you're saying, well, you should have a $900. What's the first thing that's going to happen? Okay, so this is going to go out on the internet, right? And I'm going to say, if you're doing general repair, you should probably have a $900 average repair order.
Yeah.
Well, the guys that have a $400 average repair are going to say 2 things: either, that's in LA or that's wherever. That's not here in South Carolina, right? Or they're going to say, oh, you guys are just ripping customers off.
Yeah.
I am so effing tired of this whole, there was a thing on your channel. I helped this customer. There was a shop trying to rip them off. They were going to charge them $1,800 to replace the coils and the plugs, and I moved the plugs around, and I found out one of the plugs was not right. So I cleaned the plugs, and that customer went off happy, right?
Cleaned the plug?
Cleaned the plugs. Cleaned and regapped plugs that have 60, 70, 80,000 miles on them.
Completely ignored. I guarantee
Iridium
it.
plugs.
Yeah, completely ignored which you don't cap iridium plugs. You don't cap iridium plugs.
Yeah, idiot.
And then he completely ignored the brown combustion that's getting past the gas.
Or the coil pack where it's been arcing around it.
Tracks,
and by the way, who in the F would put one coil pack on a car?
I know, right?
That has 4 coil packs or 3 coil packs. Yep. Are you really that stupid?
But see, we've set that precedent. Our industry has set that precedent for a long time.
So yesterday, I'm talking about certification licensing. I don't give a crap what anybody says. I'm sorry. I'm sick of it. We need certification licensing. And frankly, I don't want the government stepping in and doing it. Yeah. So as an industry, why the hell aren't we doing it? Yeah. Because half the guys out there are afraid. You know what? The guy that's saying, well, that's not certification licensing. That wouldn't be, it's going to be costly. Blah, 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 blah. So what?
Yeah.
Okay. The frickin' air conditioning guy charges $500 an hour to come in and check the air conditioning and fix the air conditioning in my house. The plumber is charging $300-400 an hour, and I got shops out there I don't have that high expense because I work out of my house. I'm sorry. Let's stop working out of your GD house. Let's stop doing shitty repairs on people's cars.
Yeah. Trying to save them money.
Right?
Yep.
And let's get something that says this is what a professional automotive shop looks like, because then we can actually market, well, I'm a professional.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you want the guy that's not a professional, fine. Go to that guy. Let him clean and gap your iridium plugs, and you can drive it for the next week and a half until the light goes back on, right?
Yep. But we need to step in right here, and we need to say, that's not ripping the client off. That's doing the proper repair.
Well,
see, those guys come back and they say, no, I could save them a lot of money. I could do this. But what does it do? It devalues the industry. It's not even that it devalues the industry. It gives us a bad reputation, because think about what happens next.
Well, you've got a guy.
Now, misfires again.
You got a guy like so I have opinions about how coaching should be done.
Right.
And there's 2 or 3 guys, in this industry, and I know, and I don't like them, okay? Yeah. Because, frankly, I think they're shitheads, okay? Yeah. And all they're about is, let's see how much money I can make. And I'm willing to tell my client whatever to make me look good and make as much money as possible. Now, that ain't me, but I don't like those guys, all right? Yeah. Now, I don't go on and go, so-and-so's a prick, and don't do coaching with him because he's going to rip you off because blah, blah, blah. Because it's unprofessional and it actually makes me look bad. Yeah. Right? And so those guys, what I say to myself is, look, the universe is going to level it all out. Yeah. And frankly, for sure, it hasn't. Yeah. Not as long as I've been around.
Maybe not in this life, but always in the next.
Because there's always 2 more guys waiting in line to come on and be coaches that maybe don't know what the hell they're talking about. But I try very hard to be a professional, act like a professional, because I like to be seen as a professional, right? Yeah. And I'd like to get paid as a professional. And we wonder why, like, the average labor rate right now is, I don't know, 128 on the last survey or whatever, when it should be probably 280 or 3. Yeah. Because we have these guys out there that are constantly blah, 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 right? Yep. And so I'll do it. I'll go back, we'll dig through the data, we'll figure out what that number really ought to be for the best running shops. And we do hundreds of shops. So, and I've got 25 years worth of data. So
I'm telling you,
we come up with
that number. We come up with that number. Once we have the number, then it just becomes blasting it out, and then we shame everybody who doesn't know that. How do you not know this number? You know the number? It's 11%.
But you know what?
30. What are you doing?
So
you're screwing yourself. You're screwing yourself. You're devaluing your technicians. You're ruining the industry. Look what's happening. It's entirely your fault because you're at 11%. Shame.
But
shame will make this.
David, it won't. It won't.
No?
We have no shame.
A little bit.
Tell me how you can go on as a technician online in front of everybody and say, I cleaned and gapped iridium plugs because I wanted to help the customer out and save them some money.
Was that a tech, or was that a shop owner, or like a one man?
Okay, so now I got another rant, right? Let's go completely south here. Yeah, the bullshit that is online is bullshit. Okay, so I don't know if that guy was a bot, an AI generated, or a real shop owner. And if it was a mobile tech, right? Yeah. I'm a mobile tech, all right? Because you have companies that their entire marketing is going on to your group and saying, "Oh, hey, we're thinking of getting a coach." And you've got coaching companies now. I mean, we see that question often?
That's an old tactic,
right?
Yeah.
And then they've got people they're paying to go on and say, "Oh, so-and-so's the best. Yeah. They're the greatest, you know, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, okay, I don't care. You know what? Yeah. F you. You do whatever you want to do.
Scuzzy tactics.
But there's going to be a point in time. I don't know when it is, but I'll tell you what, probably no less than 2 years, where nothing that you see online can you believe in at all. In fact, you're going to actually know everything you see is a lie. Yeah. It's all clickbait bullshit. Yeah. You know, they posted something from you, right? Why would any person who was your friend
Yeah.
Anybody who had any ounce of respect for the industry put that online. Okay.
They wanted the clicks.
Clicks.
Yeah.
All right. And so that to me tells me that that's the person that I want to run away from.
Yeah.
Because they're not, but in our industry, so I'm teaching service advisor class, right? And or I got a bunch of owners and I'm like, okay, what's your effective labor rate, right?
Crickets.
There might be 3 people out of 25 that actually know that number, but yet that number is like super important. Well, what is your productivity? What do you really, and what should it be, right?
Yeah.
How many dollars should your 4 techs be bringing in to your shop every day, every week, every month? They don't have any clue. They don't have any clue. And I've been preaching the gospel for, I don't know, 22, 24 years in these classes. Tens of thousands of guys in these classes. And I've been talking about average repair order. I've been talking about productivity. I've been talking about labor margins, gross margins, parts margins. And there's no shame in our industry. There's none. You can't shame these guys.
That's a valid point. So I've got some numbers I want to share with you. I have a bunch of people send me their numbers. Right? Okay. Some people, when I share, like, hey, we talked about this last night.
I think a lot of them they don't know the number.
Well,
or they don't even know they're supposed to.
That's true. But here's where I'm going with this. Is some people, when I share what the numbers supposed to be, we talked last night about like some brains just work that way. We were talking about like,
like I'm going to walk in your shop and instantly I know what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I can see it in my head what the number's supposed to look like.
44 years of doing it.
Right. Well, and so like I'd share the numbers with them, and some of them say, bet. I can show me how to adjust that. Show me what changes that. Tell me how to make a difference in that.
Right.
And you can tell they're hungry. Some people say, okay, well, what's the silver bullet is the equivalent of what they're asking, right? Just tell me what I have to do, or maybe I'm too lazy to do it.
There's 4 to 6 things that will get you half of the money you're missing.
Yeah.
Okay. And, like raise your labor rate. And we hear this all the time. And you got other guys out there going, I don't know, all these coaches, all they can say is raise your labor rate. Yeah, well, we're saying it because right now the industry is so far behind where it needs to be. I mean, we're not working on carburetors and points and condensers anymore. We're working on, unbelievably sophisticated computers and, 6,000-pound death machines, right? And our labor rates don't even reflect what
we've not even stayed in line with even basic things,
nothing,
right?
Nothing. And not even if we had gone 3% a year.
Yeah.
I did the numbers from 1980. I think I ran the numbers from 1980 to today, and in 1980 we were, whatever it was, $70 an hour, something like that. Yeah. There wouldn't be a shop in the United States under $264 right now. Right. Just at a 3% increase from there, right?
So, Jeremy, who's been here all weekend, fellowship and hanging out, family business coach, he takes us around to his facilities. And there's one here in town, and he says, hey, listen, this facility right here is a $25 million facility, and it makes $30 to $40 million a year. Right. It's a big operation. And hey, this facility right here makes $5 million a year. And this facility makes $6 million a year. And then he sits through our classes and he's saying, you guys are working on some really complex stuff. And like in our world, we invite people in and we let them bounce on trampolines and then they leave. And there is a liability component of it, but we don't have any skilled staff. And our numbers, like we're using way less space than you are, but we're seeing all this additional revenue. Like it's a little perplexing to me.
But the other thing would be, if you go back to our origins in the industry, my dad was a typical shop owner for the time.
Yeah.
Dyslexic, ADHD, super intelligent, couldn't sit in class, so they put him in auto shop.
Yeah.
All right. Now, he dropped out of high school, and went to work at Ford, and then became a Ford technician, and then opened his own shop and blah, 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 right? And he did okay, but never really made the kind of money he should have made for the effort, the energy, and the life he put into this thing. All right, now, but he always felt like, I don't really deserve what a lawyer might deserve.
Yeah.
Or, he looked at the lawyers and the doctors and as educated people, and he looked at himself as a very uneducated person.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry, dude, but people that have the talent and the skill and the experience to diagnose, an automobile with 22 computer systems, 1 million miles of wire, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That skill set is as good as any doctor, lawyer, electrician, etc. And yet, as an industry, we don't believe we deserve it, or for somehow we say to ourselves, well, those guys that are actually charging more than me are ripping off the public.
So, okay.
While they're going broke or they're struggling financially.
Okay, so that leads into something that I kind of wanted to talk about here. Yesterday, I get a message from a shop owner, and he begins to ask questions. And I've learned through hanging out with you and Rick and all the others over the years, ask better questions, right? Like, make sure you're asking good questions. And so this shop owner says, hey, how do I find a good technician? Because I don't want to be the only guy in the shop. And so I'm trying to hire a technician. And I said, so what do you hope to achieve? What is it that you're hoping to get out of this? And he says, I want to get to the point that maybe I could have a day off every once in a while. And I said, no, I'm asking, like, where is the shop going? Yeah. What are you hoping to accomplish?
Are you going to be one shop that does $2 million a year that nets 24%? Right. Are you going to be just you working on cars, maybe with one person, so you can have a day off occasionally? Right. What's the end game? Right.
So his message back is well, I've never thought about that. And by the way, like, I'm just really worried about the quality if I were to do anything other than fix the cars myself. Because
nobody can fix a car as well as you can fix a car.
Exactly.
Excuse me.
And so then we
talk about ego.
We talk more and we work through it. And I said, okay, I'm asking you, 20 years from now, where do you want to be? Like, have you ever thought about that?
Yeah.
Have you ever put this on paper? Have you ever considered what life might look like? And he said, well, one day I'd like to be able to, do whatever I wanted to do. But I don't ever plan to retire. And I said, well, that's kind of what retirement is, being able to do whatever you want to do. Hey, do you put any money back? No. The shop's my retirement. Okay, well, hang on, honey.
Yeah, but it's just if you haven't built anything that's worth anything because you're the only one there.
Right, exactly. And see, they miss that.
Yeah.
They miss that. They don't understand that shop's not worth anything.
So I don't care if you're 25 years old buying your first shop.
Right.
Or if you're 65 years old thinking I'm going to get out in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
You need an exit strategy from day one.
Yeah.
What's the end game here, right?
But you have to know what that is. You have to be able to understand what that is.
And I'll tell you that probably 2/3 of the guys in our industry, they don't ever want to think about it, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's uncomfortable to think there's a day and time where I'm not going to be able to work on cars physically, right?
Yeah.
Or mentally.
I've told you. I've told you more than once. I was offended by Michael Smith's first class I ever went to. It upset me. It made me mad because I thought he was trying to convince me to sell my shop.
No.
And by the third time I sat in that same class, I realized that's not what the frick he's saying.
No.
He's saying the world is changing and your business needs to be valuable.
Yeah.
You're working your tail off and you don't have anything to show for what you're doing. It does not hold any value.
Well, wait a minute. I own the property for the shop, so that's going to be my retirement. They're going to pay me rent. Well, tell me how some guy's going to pay you rent if he's running a shitty shop where he's not making any money.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
Or you're going to finance the guy to take over your shop because he's been hanging around your shop for a while, but he doesn't know how to run a shop either.
Yep. And then you're going to end up with the shop again.
Yeah, it's insane. Our industry, and it's better. Don't get me wrong. I mean, from 20 years ago to today, there's more sharper guys. Some of these younger guys coming in get it, right? And we're getting people coming from other industries that were in a more professional industry that are coming in and going, well, I expect to have a coach, right? It's because I need to know the numbers and I need to understand the business because I don't make a difference of millions of dollars over my career, right? and so it's getting better, but primarily we are still so far from the finish line here. And I think the other thing is they're afraid to think about it, because once they decide whatever it is, then, oh my God, then that's the only thing I can do.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true.
Right.
I could change my mind tomorrow. I mean, I've been a business coach, automotive business coach for, 20 years now. Tomorrow I might say, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be, I don't know, I want to be the captain of a boat taking people out to fish, or I won't. I get seasick, but or maybe I want to. I don't know. Maybe I want to become a graphic artist,
right?
Or I want to program computers or whatever. I can always change my mind.
You can always change,
right?
Of course, yeah.
And
but I mean, how many? We were talking about this with Cody Gaddy. How many relationships have been ruined throughout the years because we can't make up our mind where we're going and get both partners in a relationship on the same page? Well, the shop is kind of the same thing. How many shops have been ruined because it's like, well, I'm just going to fix cars.
So my father had a shop, and I came in and ended up managing the shop. And the plan, at least from my point of view, was, and I sat down and talked with my dad, and I said, okay, you're going to retire at a certain point, and at that point, I need to own about 30% of the shop. So here's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
We created a thing called a defined benefit pension plan, which allowed us to put aside an extra $40,000, $50,000 a year, and 90% of that went to my dad.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to make money in the shop. We went from making $40,000 a year in profit and getting kind of paid. I got a truck and I got gas, and I can take $100 out of the till if I'm gonna, the 3 times a year I'm gonna take the family out to dinner or whatever. And if I need some spending money, I could pull $100 and put it in my pocket. We went from that to the shop's making $250,000 a year in profit.
Right.
Okay. And so we needed places to put money. We needed, defined benefit pension plan, but it allowed us to put $40,000 to $50,000 a year away into Dad's pocket. And the plan was that you're going to gift me between 2 and 5% of the business over the next 5 to 7 years, so that at some point I own 20 to 30%.
Yeah.
And then I can go to the bank and buy you out and say, here's your money.
Right. Because now I have equity and I have.
So that was the plan. Now, in the middle of that, another shop opportunity came up. So one of the guys that worked for us wanted to have a shop, but he was like, "Hey, I'd like to run a shop, but I love working for you guys." Blah blah blah. And we're like, "Oh, well, let's start a shop in Yucca Valley." So we put him up there. That's where he lived, and we started a shop up there. And he didn't have any ownership of that. That was between myself and my dad in a new corporation. And then another shop in Indio, California, so we're in Palm Springs, came up that was for sale. And the guy wanted $100,000. And the property that the shop was on was an acre. And so it was a 12-bay, beautiful shop with 54 parking spots in the back, blacktop, walls around it. You had to go through the shop area to get to the parking in the back, etc. It's beautiful, right? And so I went to my dad and I said, okay, this is number 3 for us. Yeah, I don't want any part of that shit, right? Because I think he was at a point where it was already out of control for him, right? For him, if he could reach in the till and take $100 and have spending money in his pocket,
he was happy.
He was a happy camper,
yeah,
right? So we worked together. We had this plan. I do this. I'm now in the middle of 3 shops, and 5 years down the road, I don't own nothing. I own 2% of the shop.
Yeah.
The original, right? And yeah, I'm an owner, but I have no say in anything.
Right.
So Palm Springs changed in the early 90s.
Okay.
Down Valley and Palm Desert, they put in a bunch of golf course homes. They put in a really nice mall, and they brought casinos in 91 or 92 into Palm Springs on the Indian property, Indian casinos.
Right.
And so all of a sudden, 5 years earlier, you say, you stop somebody on the street in Palm Springs. You say, hey, I got a problem with my car. Where do I go? Oh, you got to go see Cecil, right? 5 years later, 1 out of 10, not 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I go to my dad. Dad, we need marketing. We need blah, blah, blah. I create this plan. It's like 7 pages. I give it to him. I say, study it. You own the bulk of the company, blah, blah, blah. And what he does is 2 weeks later, he fires my service advisor managers in 2 locations. And I'm like, that's not in the plan. What the hell are you doing? And he goes, well, you and I will run it. We'll just work harder. And sooner, at some point, the world has to come to its senses and it'll get back to the way it was. All right. Swear to God. All right. So what happens is now I've got my 3rd kid coming.
Yeah.
And my dad taught me, take care of your family. That's at least financially. Right. And I felt like I couldn't take care of my family financially. And whatever he promised me wasn't happening.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm like, screw it. I left. I quit. And I started running other people's shops. And, that's how I got into the shop that I was at in Mountain View.
Yeah.
That's how I got into coaching and consulting. And 5 years later, I've started my own coaching and consulting business. My dad calls me and goes, man, I made a huge mistake. I need you to come back, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I can't.
I'm not doing that.
So I missed out on the last, 15 years of my father's life.
Yeah.
And I don't regret it, okay? I mean, I regret that I didn't get to spend the time with him and that our relationship wasn't as good. But where did that go south? It went south because he couldn't grow. He couldn't get out of...
He couldn't get a vision for the
He
future.
didn't want more. He was happy with $100 out of the till, so he had spending money, right? And his truck paid for. And being able to sit around the shop and have a beer and talk with his customers or whatever. And that has happened currently right now. I have 3 clients that are young men. One of them had a baby a couple of days ago, and they're working for their dads, and they're supposed to have hey, Dad, what's going to happen to me? How does this work for me and my family as I sit here and run your shop as you go do whatever the hell you want to do? And in all 3 of the cases, they're screwing it up. I had exactly the same thing with Kent. Kent worked for me for 6-8 years before he had any interest in the Institute.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, if you do well, I'm going to make sure that you're taken care of and that you get interest in the Institute. And then every year it's like, oh, it's another year. I haven't done anything. I haven't put it on paper, etc. Finally, because he's getting antsy. He's like, Dad, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Well, I don't want to lose him, right?
Yeah.
So finally I sat down and I said, okay, here's how you earn interest in the Institute. We put it on paper. And he currently owns, I think, 15% of the company.
Right.
And he can earn another 15% as we grow and he does what he's supposed to do. And by the way, that's golden handcuffs, baby.
Yeah.
He's not leaving.
Right.
And I'm not leaving. And we work together and we don't always agree with each other, right? Blah, blah, blah. But I sure as hell wasn't going to screw it up where I lost my son. Over this
you learned that lesson
business,
through
right?
the deal with your dad.
But there are so many guys that, because they're happy and satisfied with where they're at.
Yeah.
I've got a shop owner been with us now, I would bet 14, 15 years.
Okay.
Great guy. 5-6 years ago, his business hit numbers that he never even imagined.
Yeah.
And he can imagine. And his son is now working for him, running the shop, and wants to do another shop or 5 shops or 25 shops. And he's holding it all back because he's already past the point that he could imagine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And it probably won't, but it could lead to the son going out on his own or going to work for somebody else who's got more
vision for the
vision
future,
for the future for the this young man, right?
Right.
And it's like to me, it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so let's break this down a little bit. Okay. So let's talk about this gentleman that's in these shoes, right? Because he's single guy, he's got a family, but he owns the shop.
Right.
And so let's break this down a little bit and help add some perspective to this.
Okay.
David and I talked about it yesterday. David gave his number. If I'm in those shoes, okay. Now the way I see that is I would need disability insurance or workers' comp, right? Because if I'm the only one working,
oh, you'd have to have disability on top of your workers' comp. You got to have both, okay?
Yeah.
Because you can't. So where will you make the most money? Right. That's the key, right?
right?
So when I'm working by myself and I'm turning the wrenches and I'm talking to the customers, 100% of what's coming in and what's left in the pile is mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not paying for a tech or I'm not sending somebody to the swap conference or whatever. So I'm making probably the most money, but I have nothing to sell, and I'm very much at risk because if I get hurt, sick,
I have no income.
or anything, I have no income.
Yeah.
Okay. And these guys that are like, it's me. Also, I'm 100% in control.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
and nobody,
isn't it?
and nobody can fix the car like I can fix the car. The problem with these techs I'm hiring is, they make mistakes. Oh my God, that guy screwed that car up. Blah blah blah. Well, hold on a sec, brother.
Yeah.
Right? Like I worked on cars for 27 years. I can't tell you how many things I broke.
Right, but we give ourselves grace.
And,
we won't give them.
okay, yeah. So anyway, your guy is not only quote unquote, he's got the control he wants right now.
Yeah.
Right, which by the way is an illusion.
Yeah.
Okay. But he's at the highest risk that he'll ever be.
Right.
Now, move ahead. I want to get a team together which includes a manager.
Okay.
Who may or may not have interest in the shop or some kind of profit sharing or whatever, and 4 technicians, 2 service advisors, and somebody to clean up and drive and pick up parts and whatever. Yeah. And that also means that I have to have a good accounting company that I can trust, blah, blah, blah. Now I can make twice the money or 3 times the money that I was making working by myself, and there's no risk, right? Where the risk is greatly mitigated. Right?
Yeah.
So, but getting from A to B means I have to give up what tenuous control I believe I have when it's just me.
Right.
Okay. And so I talk about what is your minimum level of acceptable incompetence in someone that you would hire.
Right.
Right. Because obviously there's the best coach, the guy that understands more about shops, blah, 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 is me.
Right.
It's not Kent. He doesn't have 47 years of experience. He's only got 12.
Right.
Right. And it's not any of the other guys that work for me, although I'll tell you right now, I found guys they found me who have done things bigger, better than me and understand things I may never understand. Right.
Yeah.
And brought them in because I thought they were beneficial for the clients of the Institute.
Yeah.
Hence Michael Smith.
Right.
Who's a genius.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Right. And certainly sees the world completely differently than most of us shop owner guys do.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Absolutely.
And I've got 4 of those guys in the company right now who are smarter than I am.
Right.
All right. And by the way, Kent is smarter than me, although he'll never believe it. Okay.
We've tried to convince him.
So I probably have 6 or 8 people in my company now that are smarter than I am. And I have a lot of control, but my control is a different kind of control. My control is they respect me. They want to ask me questions when it's an area that they believe that I have information that I can help them, help our clients. And I get to say, I kind of could say no, yes or no to anything.
Right.
Because I own the most stock. But if you try to run your company like that, then you're going to, it's a failure waiting to happen, right? Sometimes I say yes to things that I'm kind of thinking no, but let's go try it. Let's go see, because that's a smart person who's bringing that to me. And it looks like if it works, it's going to really benefit the Institute and our clients in the industry, which is our judgment, right? It's really the clients, the industry, and the Institute. That's the hierarchy, right, for us. And then, of course, Cecil gets to come along for the ride and can get paid fairly well and gets to do fun stuff, okay? Right. Like have dinner with Lucas and some cool people.
Yeah, that was a good dinner, by the way.
Thank you again.
Of course.
Wait, he got free dinner from you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, crap.
I did.
Okay.
You should have.
You were invited.
Well, but so this guy needs to hire a technician. Okay. And by the way, that technician, he has to have something to offer.
Yeah.
Right? Because right now we're 225,000 short technicians,
right?
Approximately.
Well, so let's break this down a little bit. Okay. Let's think about why does he need a technician? And you've been really smart with your money, okay? Because I know you've been really smart. You've been smart in the market. You've been smart in retirement funds. You've been smart about how you've done.
I might not be as smart as you think I am, but go ahead.
And so here's the thing: as Dave and I are talking about this, is this guy's sharing his story. 36 years old, right? How much money does he need? How much money should he have in retirement? How much money should he have put back right now?
I'm teaching class yesterday, and I said I live a $300,000 a year lifestyle. Okay, which allows me to go out to dinner with Lucas and sometimes pay the bill.
Right.
Okay, it allows me to buy some nice clothes, drive a nice car, live in a decent neighborhood. I don't have a mansion or anything, but live in a decent neighborhood, and allows me to travel, take my wife somewhere if I want to take my wife somewhere. That's $300,000 a year. Mm-hmm. So at 6%, I need money in safe investments that will generate a minimum of 6%.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if I decide it's 9% or 10%, now I'm going to get into riskier and riskier stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm a risk taker, so I have some stuff in very risky and I have some stuff in very safe. But let's say that you want to live a $300,000 lifestyle, right? And I don't know, shop owners might say, Cecil, that's rich for me. I only want to live a $150,000 lifestyle. Okay. And so at 6%, if I do the math, and my math brain is not working as much since the surgery,
right.
But to me, I think the early calculation was I need $3 million in safe investments. Right. I also know I'm kind of an idiot. So I'm going to see something that's going to interest me, that I'm going to want to invest in, that is risky, like technology or, I don't know, another business or whatever. I want to have freedom to be able to do that. So for me, 3 million is not enough. I need 5 million. Okay. And then I just had brain surgery. And so all of a sudden I'm thinking, well, what if I have some health challenges? Right.
Yeah.
So I have insurance, and eventually I'll have Medicaid or whatever it is, right? Government, and I'll have, I don't know, $3,800 from Social Security if Social Security is still hanging around, blah, blah, blah. But I don't want to count on that, right?
Yeah.
So now my number is 8 million.
Right.
And 8 million at 6% is $480,000 a year. Well, Cecil, you said you want a $300,000 lifestyle. Well, I can't eat into the 8 million. So I need to take at least 10% of whatever comes in and put it back in my investments to keep up with inflation.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I know exactly what my number is. It happens to be 8 million today. Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, next week, next month, 2 years from now, that number might be 10 million.
Right.
Okay. Now, I'm 64. This guy's 36 years old.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with inflation? What's going to happen with medical expenses? My entire life, never once has my medical expenses gone down next year.
They continue to go up.
Or property tax, or school tax, or income tax, or whatever, right? I mean, income tax kind of has fluctuated some, depending on, Trump's this or Biden's that or Obama's whatever. But in general, I can't count on those things coming down, and I can't count on anybody else taking care of me.
Yeah.
So my number's 8 million.
But
all right, now, by the way, any individual shop, right now, if you own a shop, the average when you sell your shop is 2.7 times your earnings and before taxes. So, maybe I have a shop that's doing 200,000, right? And then I'm taking a salary out. But I'm not necessary in the shop, so we would do putbacks. My truck would be a putback. That money, so that 200,000 might end up being 250,000, right?
Right.
And so now, and I'm going to get, let's say 3 times, just for math's sake.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get $750,000 out of my shop. That's what, when I sell it today, that's what I'm going to get if I'm an average shop owner.
Right. And so here's the thing is that so many people are depending on that when they retire, and they say $750,000.
Well, how far is $750,000 going to go?
But see, they don't understand. They think that's a lot of money.
And if you're making 6% on that, that's $42,000 and change per year. And you have to take 10% of that and put it back in to keep up with inflation, because 10 years from now, that money will be worth half of what it is. Right? The rule of sevens. So, and so now I don't even have 42,000. Now I've got 37,000 and change. And I don't know about you, but I don't even know if I could buy groceries and pay for my gas and my insurance with $37,000.
Right.
I don't even know how some of these shop owners do it. You look and you see, well, I made 60,000, and you're like, I don't know how you live. I don't know how you raise kids on that today. I don't know how you put anybody, and I don't want to say through college, but whether it's like I'm going to send my kid to a trade school, or I want to give my child or my children the opportunity to become successful in their lives, and that is education, whether it's formal university education or some other kind of education.
Right.
I may need, I don't know, average, what was the average college? Something like 50,000 a year?
Yeah.
For 4 years. So you're talking 200 grand per child. Right?
Yeah. And where's that money going to come from?
And today, you can do things. You can, whatever it is, a 522. I can't remember the number, but you can put money aside for your child for college, and it's less money, and it'll grow and all of that. And that's great, except if I'm not making the real money right now, how can I put the real money away for my kids? Right?
Well, and they don't, right? They don't put money away. And that, if there was one regret I have about not fixing the business sooner, and not understanding that, and I get frustrated. There's a video of Dave Ramsey that makes me mad.
Oh.
And it's a video where he says, whatever you do, don't put money in the stock market. Don't put money in a 401k until you pay your debt off.
Yeah.
Well, my problem with that is like the thrill of putting money into the market, the thrill of putting money into my 401k and watching it grow is what intrigued me to the point that I wanted to keep doing it. Right.
Yeah.
And so like, I didn't start when I was 19 or 20 years old putting this money back. And when you look at compounding and you look at what happens to that money when you're putting that money back in a consistent way. I've got Jordan here. Jordan's a manager for Mystery Hill. And I'm saying, dude, start putting this money back right
minimum,
now.
10% minimum every day, every week, every month, every year.
You're making good money. You're living with mom and dad. You don't have any huge overhead. You got a vehicle payment.
Yeah.
Right? Take the rest of your money, whatever you can possibly think of, and put it back. Let it work for you. But see, shop owners aren't doing that. They're using every single dime. They're like, I'm going to reinvest into my business, right? But you're not doing it in a way that makes it worth money.
So since COVID,
right?
So here's where the industry's at. 2009 came along. There were a bunch of guys in their early 60s to 70, and they were going to sell their shops and quote unquote retire. Right. But 2009 comes along.
Yeah.
and, kicks our asses. Yeah. And so they held on. They said, I'm going to hold on.
Okay.
So they're just recovering, right? And then COVID shows up. Right. And the government is going, if you stay in business, here's 150,000 for this, and here's 150,000, and you could borrow up to 5 million at 3%.
Yeah.
Well, geez, anytime someone's going to give me money at 3%, I'm going to get as much of that as I can get. Right. And so these guys stayed in the industry, and we got guys now in their mid 70s that own shops that haven't built the team.
Right.
Okay. And they don't know how to get out, and they don't have enough money to be comfortable in their retirement.
Right.
Okay. And so how many shops have you seen that, number one, have been bought for pennies on the dollar by other shop owners who understand the game and what's going on?
Yeah.
Right. Or have just closed their doors.
Yep.
In your neighborhood, in your town.
I can tell you of 5 right now.
And I could probably tell you of 55 others, right? Yeah. Because I know a lot. I keep tabs on what's happening in our industry. And there are so many guys that are just at a point where they're just getting out. We have this backlog of shop owners, which, by the way, with 2020 and COVID, the private equity companies were never, not many of them. Sun obviously has been looking at the automotive industry for a while. They just bought a bunch more shops here in the Phoenix area last year or this year. But they've also changed their game plan. They're not buying shops that don't run well. They're not buying shops where it's a guy and a tech doing the work because they ain't worth anything. They're buying shops that have a team that know how to run the shop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And they're buying those for 4X instead of 2X.
Yeah, and they're looking for the ones that are out here that are multiple shops and that have a system and have a plan.
Yeah, because they can pick those up and those will continue to run and run well.
Yeah.
Which basically means that the guys that are in this business that are saying, okay, I'm going to build, 5 or 10 or whatever. Now we're talking, instead of maybe 4X, we're talking 10X, 12X, and maybe even 16X.
Yeah.
And it's all about your EBITDA, how much money is coming out the bottom, and whether or not your operation can run and run well without you in the middle of it, right? And so this guy here has to decide, what's his number, right? And he's got 30 years.
Yep.
Right? 65, 66.
He could make his, if he will start right now, he could make his life substantially better in retirement.
Either way, if I say, well, I just want to run one shop that's very successful. I got guys that run one shop and make $1 million a year, right? Clients. And they're pretty damn happy. And by the way, when they go to retire, even for whatever they sell their shop for won't matter. Because the $1 million they're making every year, they're investing and they're building, etc. You can't create $8 million in money in safe investments at $100,000 a year.
Yeah, you can't do it.
Okay, it's not possible.
Yeah,
and so you may say to yourself, this 36-year-old young man, kid, might say, well, I don't really want 15 shops or 5 shops. Okay. Oh, fine. But build a team that can run a shop. It's probably 4 to 5 technicians, 2 service advisors. That's the maximum, it'll make the most money and be the easiest model to run, right?
Right.
If you end up with 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 technicians, now I need 3 service advisors, 4 service advisors.
Right.
I need more support people. It's a little harder to run. Certainly it can be done. I got guys that do it. Yeah. But one shop, 5 guys, let's do $3-4 million a year with that. Yeah. And I'll make $1 million in profit and I'll take $200,000 as a salary.
Right.
So I'll make $1 million to $1.2 million a year. And I do that for 10, 15 years. I put aside 10%, 20%, because again, if I'm making $1 million, I could put $200,000 aside and live on 800,000, right?
Yeah,
and
sure.
you kind of think, okay, well, yeah, but you said you have a $300,000 lifestyle, but don't forget about taxes and surprises and whatever else, right? In the business will go up and down, whether you like it or not, right? February's February. When school starts, school starts. And my company, depending on my marketing and where I'm at and what I'm doing, might take a hit.
Yeah.
And so he needs to decide what he wants, and then he needs to move forward with a tech. That's the start, right? And so now I'm playing part-time service advisor. I'm part-time tech in my own company, and I have a tech, and I might have to go through 3 guys to find the guy that fits, right? And that's going to do what I want. That's not going to make too many mistakes that I can bring up. And then I'm probably going to hire a second tech, and I'm going to step out of being a tech at all. I'm going to be 100% service advisor manager.
Yeah.
And then I'm probably going to hire a third tech. And when I hire a third tech, I'm going to hire a service advisor. Right. And so there's like this, that's the plan. Anyway, it doesn't always go to plan. Let's go back to now. I want to hire a tech. Well, if you're a tech and you're thinking, I got to take care of my family. I want a future for my life. Are you going to go to work in a shop that has 2 bays that looks filthy, that doesn't, blah, blah, blah. Plus, I'm going to offer you, $25 an hour to start, as opposed to a shop that looks good, that's got 8 bays, that's well run, and that guy's going to offer you $32 to start with the possibility of making up to 50 or 60.
Yeah.
If you can prove yourself, as opposed to, and the shop that's run well has medical, dental, a 401k or an IRA, and it's clean, well lit, has all the tools that you want or need, and it's willing to take you to training and help you with your invest in you over time. And I'm not saying that your guy doesn't have that or wouldn't do that, but the odds are he doesn't.
Yeah, and it would be really hard for him with his income level to be able to offer that.
And so what you have to do is you have to hire a trainee, right? I got to bring somebody in who's 2 years, 3 years experience as a tech, maybe some education, school, went to YO or whatever.
Yeah.
And now I've got to spend a couple of years of being a real mentor and trainer to this guy to get him up to speed and send him to classes if I want him to have value for my company in the long run.
Right.
And I'm not saying it can't be done, because it's done every day. I'm just saying it's a different thought process about what I need to do.
Yeah.
Right. And like I go into shops, and I'm OCD a little.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, your shop's filthy, or man, clean your bathroom, or holy shit, put the junk cars around back where the customers can't see them, or I know you're buying junk cars and fixing them up, but don't let the customers see that you're doing that, right? And then they do interviews, right? And they bring someone to their shop, and the kids 20, 25 or whatever, they're like, they're afraid to tell you, no, I don't want to come to work for you because this place is a dump, right? So they go, I'll start in 2 weeks. And then they never show up. Yeah. They don't call you. They don't show up. And so if you have a bunch of no-shows, you better look around and think about your business. And the other thing too, like, so I got a shop that's really struggling somewhere in Indiana. This is a few years back, maybe 10.
Right.
And I go to the shop, and they are buying junk cars and building them, taking engine out of this, putting it in this, and that's part of what they're doing to make money. And so there are, like, I don't know, 15 parking spots in front, and there's a junk car in every spot.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah.
And so
I'm not going to work on junk cars.
Well, it's not just that, but like a customer with a 5-year-old Audi, drives up and sees that you got a bunch of junk Fords and Chevys and stuff in your, out front, no place to park. What are they going to do?
Yeah.
Right?
Turn right back around.
Yeah. And so you got a bunch of no shows for appointments, right? Yeah. And you can't figure it. I'm like, okay, move those things. I want 3 spots in front that are nobody parks in.
Yeah.
All for customers. I want a sign that says customer parking here.
Right.
Blah, 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 right in front. And we do that. And all of a sudden the shops, our no-shows go down. Our appointments and people coming in and buying go up. Yep. Sometimes it's just take a look around and go, okay, what, don't be me.
Yeah.
I see this every day. I used to do like twice a year, I would pick 15 of my best clients, and I'd offer to bring them in for lunch and tell them I wanted them to review my shop.
Right.
And, I'd have 7, 8 show up. We'd have lunch. I'd give them a clipboard. I'd have them wander around the offices, the shop, everything. And then we'd sit down and talk about what they saw. Right. And man, sometimes you think like, wow, this is really great. And they find things that you never would have thought about, right? And they're like, "Well, if I were you, I'd do this because this is a negative thing." And you're like, and then you go, "Oh crap, who left that there?" Or how did that happen? Or
nose blind,
right? Yeah. So your guy needs to sit down without the shop, and think about the future of his life and what kind of a lifestyle he wants to live, and then. Maybe also anticipating if you hire the right people and bring the right people and you build a team, you can do amazing things and it's not hard. Yeah. It's easy, right? But if you think you're going to be the boss and everybody's going to do exactly what you want, you're going to have a really frustrated future.
That's not leadership.
Yeah,
that is not leadership.
It isn't gonna happen.
And I tell you, I think in closing, the biggest thing is if you are a technician who says, well, I just want to fix cars, for God's sakes, don't open a shop, right? That's the wrong thing.
Well, I think, so I don't know if I might argue that point, right? I mean, if I build a great team and I want to fix cars, then I fix cars in my own business. I still make a ton of money and I get to fix cars. I get to do, like right now in my company, what am I doing? I'm doing this. I'm having fun. I do the fun stuff.
But here's where I'm going with that though, is you can go out right now and earn over $120,000 a year as a technician
in a shop well run.
In a well run shop, yeah. And so
or more.
If you can do that, and you say, well, I don't want to hire people because there's
nobody out there to hire. They're not gonna. I'm better than them. They're not gonna. Yeah.
Exactly. And you say, well, I don't want to lead people.
Yeah.
And you say, well, I don't want to do all the headache of all these numbers and all these calculations, and I don't really want to have to get my numbers clean and do QuickBooks and all this. Then you don't want to be a business owner.
And I think that's in large part of the problem we have with the whole industry, with the licensing, certification, and even the professionalism of the industry. Is we have a lot of guys who just love to fix cars and they really hate the rest.
Yeah.
And so they don't necessarily give that the energy or the education. And I think one of the things this guy has to decide is if he wants to be a technician for the rest of his life, then it probably isn't your own shop. Okay. Yeah. If he wants to grow people and grow money and create, like lifetime familial wealth, like that there's a path, all of that. And I think you have a lot of shop owners currently in their 50s, maybe even their 60s, that are finally figuring out, oh my God, I have to pay attention to numbers, blah, blah, blah. And they have to learn, you have to learn different parts of the business than fixing cars.
Yep.
Right?
Amen. Yes, sir. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for letting me.
Yes, sir.
Again.